teleport. That seems to be a little bit excessive, but you never know. SEM9 have been, you know, the musical chairs sort of, but it feels like their moves have been more intentional rather than the moves coming in from Impunity, where even we're confused on what they're trying to do. But for SEM9, it feels like they have figured out that, hey, we've got a lot of stuff going on, but we know why we're changing all these things around.
Yeah, look, they know why, but still, for us, I mean, we kind of always expect, like, okay, Caspian will go support, or Caspian will go the Nautilus, while a Shin will pull out something else. This time, it feels like we're actually in role order for lane allocation. Because you can see, I mean, Shadow is committing to the mid lane, so it will be a Tristana mid. A Shin with the Nico in the bottom lane has built himself up with Doran's ring, so he'll be farming too, worth mentioning. So kind of excited to start this game off because junglers will be on the opposite sides of the map. Set up here for Arashi to go top, and bot side here for Hollow when he has a Kalista Renata line.
Yeah, and for Frank Esports, with the Trundle, Kalista, and Renata combination, you really just want to hard slam this bottom lane. So we'll see how SEM9 set up the waves with this Nico, because of course you do have the ability to kind of shove this lane pretty hard if you want to, if you get enough points into your queue. After a certain point, you just kind of perma-shove the wave, and it's very hard to dive you at that point. But early on, definitely could get punished for your lane positioning.
Yeah, I mean, level 3, a big one, but you could also say that with the Kalista Renata lane, right? So for a Shin, all about landing those Tangle Barbs and then getting yourself out the Shape Splitter third strike passive. Played a hell of a lot of Nico back in the day. It was pretty fun to play as a support, and actually probably after this game, tonight might involve another support game of Nico. But we're already seeing the bullying coming out of the lane. Hollow has made himself path directly to Gromp. Like, no wolves on the way. 2 camps done. This will be number 3. Beelined it down to this bottom side.
Yeah, and this pathing is just really get to level 3 as fast as possible and just be around bot lane as much as possible early on. And over in this top side, YSKM really utilizing that extra range and punishing here. As No Name, this was the first pick Jax. Definitely something I don't know if anyone has seen. Just go ahead, blinds pick a very strong counter pick champ. But now Arashi making his way top lane. This is very, very dangerous for YSKM.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for YSKM on this cannon, I hope he can get out. Nightstar, you might have to help me out here to feed a little bit laggy as YSKM ends up flashing away. But Arashi with a good time to game.
Oh, Hollow into the mid lane.
Take.
Oh, well, all right. It was almost my time to shine, but you know the kill doesn't actually happen. So it was a good attempt coming in from Frank Esports. At the very least, you get a good chunk of damage now. Hollow making his way towards this bottom lane, and he's all right. You're back.
I am.
Maybe.
I am.
Okay.
I'm indeed. No. We're Gucci now. We've fully fixed the issue. We're coming back. I just want to come back to Frank Esports having some pretty big lane leads. Like mid's even, but look at bot. Even through jungle, it looks like on the camp first. So it feels like right now for Frank Esports, their bottom lane set up perfectly for them. And with you all in as well. And Shed just has to rocket jump out in fear of getting one shot by the Silas.
Yeah, and that's in part due to the gank that just happened. Hollow making his way over, burning a lot of health onto this Tristana. And as a result, that's going to force out the recall. Actually going to be double recalls coming in from both of the mid laners here. Of course, they have their teleports available, so they'll just go ahead, come straight back to lane. But the real big focal point is, again, that bottom lane. Down 10 CS here. We don't expect them to really come out of the gates flying with this Nico pick. As, again, when we look at Ashin and how he's done in the lane phase, hasn't done particular well. So when we look at our expectations, we kind of expect him, all right, we'll get some sort of wave clear bot laner that doesn't have to do a whole lot mechanically, to get the job done, and that's what it seems to be here once again with this Nico pick. Just going ahead, hey, once I get enough points into my queue, I don't really need to do anything. Just keep on clearing the waves, and then eventually we'll get into sort of the shot calling factor where we expect Ashin to be that major factor for SEM9.
I'd be curious as to what he builds here on the Nico, though, because last time we saw Nico, a lot of Everfrost was coming through the meta at the time, especially when she was mid. So I'm kind of leaning on that a little bit here as YSCam. Great timing here. Sets himself up a good trade with No Name. Meanwhile, we go back to mid to Shadudu, who's going to get ganked. And Abscond duck the ulti burned out. He flashes, but Pillar can interrupt him. He waits for it. Then he rocket jumps. It's like a Maelstrom in the top side. YSCam wants yet another solo kill, but No Name has Counter-Strike, and the burst comes through, but he's not level 6. So doesn't have the enhanced auto. And as W comes through, he doesn't leap strike into YSCam. He survives. It differs from there, and that's going to be a couple of summoners burned across the rift in these solo lanes for SEM9.
Yeah, and he's just really trying to force No Name out of the lane because of that level differential, and also just get free gold from his first strike as much as possible. And for Frank Esports, they do have first dibs onto this first dragon. Only Cloud Dragon. So, you know, the move speed will help Frank Esports, but for SEM9, they're not worried too much. It's all about getting to level 6 with this composition, with the Nico and that Wukong, and then perhaps find that big fight around Rift Herald or something where they can just nail that Wombo.
It was like a Herald for both teams. Slicing Maelstrom as seen is already up and available. The cooldown will be refreshed by the time we get to the next Herald. M&M, we'll see if he gets his 6 with carries as well. Hostile takeover feels like it's be pretty impactful too. So I'm excited for this Herald because that's where both these teams look to be driving. As Hollow, even towards his top side of the map, will get himself to clear perfectly timed towards the Herald spawning. And you even look at bot. I mean, the priority down there is already in the pudding. You can see a turret plating already taken. Like, M&M and Carries are doing so well within the lane. And it feels like they'll be able to make the first move as we're 20 seconds away from that objective.
Yeah, and we can already see, like, for SEM9, they've already thrown Caspiel out roaming. And that's because, again, Ashin, now level 6. Very hard to dive a Nico at this point because of that ultimate and just having the Tangle Barbs as well. So a lot of CC coming in, very hard to force that play. And Caspiel, level 4, making the roam up. We'll look to see Frank Esports also start moving. However, because of SEM9's positioning, getting early river access, they do have ownership over these choke points. This could be difficult for Frank Esports to try and fight for.
Yeah, because their bottom lane didn't want to walk up. They backed and they're slow, and Herald just goes over. Arashi going to get flashed on here with a good handshake, but Kerry doesn't have ulti, but the Pop Blossom coming through and stolen by Pretender will be enough to dismantle them. The SEM9 are first blooded by Frank, and that response was good, but it's still a Herald play achieved by SEM9.
Yeah, it's still a relatively free take coming in from SEM9, and that's going to help him out considerably. I'd like to see this get tossed for, of course, either the Jax to try and get him going in that 1v1, or for this mid lane Tristana.
Carries going deep here. Oh, he's going to be face called though. The turnaround.
Okay.
Pop Blossoms uses defensive, but the handshake once again great. If Carries had his hostile takeover, that feels like a very different situation.
Yeah, doesn't have the ultimate quite yet. Carries level 5, but still a level ahead of Caspiel. So doing well in that regard as we get to see the replay on this fight. It is just kind of SEM9 taking it because of the fact that Frank Esports are a little bit late to the party. They try and force to get level 6 onto M&M, and their timing's just slightly off as a result. Whereas on the flip side, SEM9, they do lose a member, but again, it's going to allow them to try and get more gold funneled into No Name or Shadodo on this Tristana, and hopefully that's enough to catapult them or slingshot them into some sort of solo kill possibility.
Because they need themselves a bit of gold considering they're 2,000 behind. And with that first kill going over to the Trundle jungle and Hollow, but more importantly, the lane leads out of mid and bot. It feels like it's desperately needed. And when I speak about bot here, Nightstar, I mean, there's 2 plates already taken by M&M. Doing so well here on the Kalista matchup. And Ashin has just kind of been playing keep away. As we even see Arashi spotted on the bottom side, but even without his support, Eminem's fine. We didn't get to see what happened bot. But a Kalista just walked away from a Wukong gank, of course. He didn't have anything up, not even his ultimate, so you can understand how he did it.
Possible 3-man into this mid lane once more. Shiadodo still has the jump, of course.
Still the timing. I need to correct myself from bottom lane. Of course, in the minimap, I don't know why it does it for observers, but it was a Shin turning into Wukong because Arashi is towards the top side. That was the one thing I always hated. Is like, as a spectator, why are we seeing what champion they are? We don't need to care about what champion they are. It's like, I don't want to guess from a spectator's point of view which one
just
is
like
a
Diego.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. It's like, why did Katarina get a triple kill? She's on the enemy. Oh, you know.
Exactly.
It's always a wondrous. Pretender's stolen away the...
Oh, Arashi.
Yeah, he's not going to use it, though. He's not going to walk into position. I mean, Hollow's by himself. Surprising. Pretender had flash ulti and just didn't want to take it.
Yeah, I'm actually also surprised that Pretender doesn't make his way over to try and see if he could finish off Arashi in that instance. That's just how the cookie crumbles, I suppose. And Frank Esports, they're out to a 2K gold lead. It feels like, you know, they're doing everything right. But again, this team doesn't necessarily just end the game straight up when you give them that 2K gold lead versus a team like JT, who very much will just go in on you and just sort of end the game by 15 minutes. Well, figuratively speaking. But Frank Esports, they're definitely a much more measured team, and they really like more of their 80-20, 90-10 sort of plays, rather than just going, hey, we have a 65-35, let's just try and change that into a 90-10, because if we win this fight, the game essentially turns into a 90-10.
At least it's snowballing. I mean, Pretender, by the way, just solo killed Shiadodo in the mid lane. So, with him dead, there's no Tristana on the map. Pretender's going to get a massive shove. Oh. They're all diving at cannon top. Arashi almost dies. Caspiel is going to die. And No Name's next. YSKM. Oh my god, onto Arashi. Next he gets him too. The cannon top has just outplayed anyone. No Name jumps in and he dies too. YSKM, you are a god.
Let's just say he's really starting out his Week 4 MVP campaign out pretty darn well. As we get to see this mid lane solo kill, it's Pretender. I mean, you've got that AP scaling on that Tristana ultimate as well, so it does a lot of burst damage in that 1v1. And we can see they throw down the Rift Herald, get some gold into No Name, but unfortunately it's just not there. So all this gold is going into Arashi, and then you're trying to dive a cannon, and if he gets a 3-man ult, it's really just dunzo from there, because that's just so much damage coming out from that cannon. And yes, No Name gets this kill, but it comes at a cost. It's a triple kill for YSKM. They still want it.
He doesn't have ulti. He's got Protobelt available though, but needs to get out of this. Jumps in, tries to juke it out. Hollow's here to help, but Arashi
1v2.
flashes. The emote
Carries
goes up. You have to
Pretender.
do it after the 1v3 before. Let's see. As Carries and Pretender come through, I mean, this level 11 Tiles can steal a depth charge, but Caspiel's getting out of the way. Shiadodo moves in to threaten while in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Ashin wants to take the 1v1 and gets himself a good pop blossom.
First damage,
but now Eminem has himself the one-on-one himself. Immortal Shield Bow, the Rend about to come through. The stopwatch doesn't save him, and Eminem gets a solo back in. Frank Esports now saying nothing to SEM9, who are getting dominated.
Yeah, it was a nice setup play coming in from SEM9 at the start to just, hey, YSKM doesn't have his ultimate. That cooldown isn't available. Let's go ahead and get a pick onto him. It's a well-executed play. Unfortunately, Ashin, this Nico pick, is very good at staying safe against the Kalista, but it's not a 1v1 champ. Kalista's still the much better 1v1 champ in that regard. And yes, you have a decent amount of burst damage, but if you don't 100-0 the Kalista, you're just not going to finish her off. She has the shield bow, she has the sustain, and she has DPS. So as long as Eminem realizes, hey, I just win the extended fight, well, the Nico just loses every single time.
I mean, had no mythic. Shin without a mythic versus a shield bow on Kalista. It was close, but you kind of feel like how it would go 9 times out of 10 anyway. So we look at the gold lead. It's 3,000 for Frank Esports. They got Double Dragon. And this Rift Herald that Hollow is yet to put down. After that 3v1 dive in the top side, I mean, I'm just convinced that SEM9 haven't got the ball rolling, but more importantly, haven't got as many options as you'd hope for. And we're just getting mythics across the board here. Moving into second items for Frank Esports. While for SEM9, they're still waiting for people like No Name. Still waiting for a Shin to get there as they lose yet another, well, the first turret actually, in the game, but another piece of gold on the map taken down. And yeah, good handshake of the fake Nico, but Frank Esports are just going to make the play happen. It hits. No one's in range though. Not sure about the ulti from Carries.
Well, it was optimistic at best. However, it does get him off of that tower. And with the second Herald, they are going to be able to break that tier 2 in that bottom lane. That offers them a good lane to, once again, focus more around this dragon. Of course, with Kalista, you're going to be very focused around these objectives. And that's one of the big snowball conditions. So for the side of SEM9, really, it's just trying to find this next dragon fight. You have the wombo potential again. However, you know, Ashin being so far behind still doesn't have the mythic completed. I'm surprised he doesn't have the mythic completed even at this point. But without it, like, this is such a hard fight to win if you don't have that.
And they still want to take the fight. This is so ambitious. Pop Blossom comes through
from behind.
Onto Hollow though, but look, one member already dead. The stolen Pop Blossom gets Arashi, and Hollow with the bailout is just whacking down. As No Name joins in, getting out alive is going to be a different thing. As Ren's going to come through and stack. Eminem plays it perfect while YS Cam is looking for more blood. Electrocuted to death. It's Frank Esports with 12 kills and a dominating outplay in this game that has just made them look so good.
Yeah, Hysterics, there was really just no gas to that play coming in from SEM9. They understood, hey, we want to contest this dragon. It would be third dragon for the side of Frank Esports, but they didn't really account for should we be, because they just didn't have the power spikes to actually do so. Hollow, so tanky on this Trundle at this stage in the game, throws down the ultimate, sealed resistances, teleport comes in from YSKM on the backside. This backline is just so frail. Again, Ashin just doesn't have the oomph to actually burst anyone out. Now has the Ludens, but it's just too little too late. At this point in the game, Frank Esports, they've got enough level lead under their belt that that extra magic resistance starts churning through, and you're not going to get bursted out, especially by Ludens, which it just feels bad for the side of SEM9 right now.
Needed damage. As Shin again is going to be pillared. Carry's running into him confidently. I mean, Arashi just looks bored, but to take that, Hollow pushes him out a little bit further. And I feel like, you know, we go back to the draft and we look at what SEM9 brought out this game. Triple topside ban against YSKM. But then he just picks Cannon and has been absolutely fine. Like, I don't know, the banning out topside here against Frank Esports didn't work out. They gave away Kalista Renata, which no region at the moment, even though Kalista has seemed to fall, is willing to give away this specific duo. It's either Kalista or Renata singular, never together. And that's kind of only the start of the problems here for SEM9 as they give up so much. Well, No Name in the top side, he's going to pop the ulti, but now Frank Esports had the backup coming through. Slicing Maelstrom buys him time as with Pretender in, stealing the depth charge. In the air he'll go, Arashi starts spinning, but YSKM is playing with the rest of his food, and Pretender will clean this up. One goes down, Arashi getting the trade, but look, on the other side of the map, in mid lane perhaps, Eminem just picked up a double, and Pretender is having the time of his life with a Shin dying yet again. I can't watch this anymore. SEM9 are getting cut open, and the blood is flooding the stage.
At the very least, Hysterics, they didn't showcase that mid-fight because it was just a straight-up disaster for the side of SEM9. It was a 3v3, and they got absolutely wiped. Pretender might find one more kill. However, the Warrior Trickster will be enough to get him out. And yeah, SEM9 is just everything's falling apart. They didn't have a lane to really play through. It was supposed to be this Jax, right? Because you invested so much draft resources here.
Oh,
But
no.
oh, ooh, nice little ultimate coming in, but it was just too telegraphed, right? So the side of SEM9, they try and just immediately turn for the play, and they just don't have enough damage because all of the burst damage is supposed to be from this Nico to get them low enough for then the Tristana to hop in and set up those resets, and it's just not even close to happening so far.
So clean from Eminem. That kind of way from Dredgeline, like, I don't know. I don't blame SEM9 for going all in on this Callista, who kind of janky over the wall, past the wall, behind the wall. Like, what do you do at this point when you have a Nico on the team? And, you know, Nightstar, the one thing I know about Nico is when you fall behind as a Nico, you are useless. Like, you don't do any damage. Your E is barely a stun, which if anyone builds tenacity, you know, by the way, even though they doted this game, also just feels worse. And you kind of look at it like, well, what does it do? Because at this point, SEM9 with such limited damage now have to face up against a team that has full Baron vision control, have midway pushed out, and don't have anything else running for them on the map. I mean, good luck checking this. I just don't think they can.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. They throw down the blue trinket so they know, but YSCam, perfect angle here.
Oh my god, almost solo killing the mid laner of SEM9. A good Renata ulti again as stun goes down.
He does! That's a solo
burn.
kill!
The ult, he's now got it as Slicing Mouse gets the double stun yet again! YSKM is on a different level. Frank Esports top laner has taken them all the way to playoffs, I'll tell you now. The 7-3-2 yet again, showcasing why he was the MVP of last week.
No Name trying to do work on the side, has the completed Hullbreaker, but it's just not enough, especially against Baron buff. Frank Esports, they can just look to easily try and end things out from here. We'll see if they get an inhib off of this initial push, as Hollow, he will be able to get the inhib tower, but there's a long teleport coming in. That's Ashen.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
He's trying.
But Eminem still without summoners. I don't favor it, and now he's out. No Name's like, I'm helping, but how can he help this situation? And then meanwhile, YSCam pressing two buttons, and Jadudu's almost dead. His ult's not available, but he's just pressing Q. I mean, this cannon is hitting harder than a Nidalee with 3 items. And the Fates call set up the handshake. SEM9, this is going to be their deathbed. It's not going to be the fastest game of the split here, Nightstar, but it's damn well close against what is one of our bottom tier teams, and reminded as such as Frank Esports continue to be impressive. This might be their split with the dominance they've had against SEM9. They're on their last defense. Franks want to end it here, as Eminem is hopping around without mana, doesn't care with the bailout. Everyone targeting him, but he's healing up. Down to bailout mode, needs the Ren. He revives, and No Name, even though he gets a kill in the end, look at what they burnt. YSCam under the turret yet again, and Hollow even pillars him. I love the trash talking thrown on the rift in front of our eyes from Frank Esports. They've got the vibe, they've got the skills, and this is a team that I'm so excited to continue watching in the second round robin of the PCS Summit.
24-minute game here, and Frank Esports speed run towards the next